Who knows YouTube better, the new school or the old school creators? Today we are learning about and giving to you some YouTube wisdom straight from some of YouTube's biggest icons. This is Mr. Beast's YouTube advice versus Casey Neistat's YouTube advice. Mr. Beast says it's all about volume and basically just improving with each video, and Casey believes that it's more about following your passion and your niche will just kind of magically appear. Which approach is right for you and what is the best approach here? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let's dive right in. Okay, so let me just provide a little bit of context for you, Grant. I know you watched the video, but there's these two different videos. Mr. Beast's advice is more on consistency and improvement with each video. He mentions that you should make 100 videos and improve something each time. When he talks about improving something, add an editing trick. Learn how to speak better on camera. He said there's an infinite way that you can find one thing to improve with each video. You know, he talks about creating 100 videos and then ask for some views, but don't expect to blow up on the first video. Okay, so obviously this is great advice, Grant. Would there be anything you'd want to add to that, or just what is your take on him saying that?
So I feel like what he's describing is more of a mindset than a strategy. So what he's really saying is, hey, just make videos, keep getting better, and don't overthink anything. It's a very like do instead of think mindset. And that's important because when you're doing, you are being productive, you're improving, you're analyzing things, but always moving forward. Whereas, I think when people have YouTube dreams, we like to believe, we can put a bunch of effort into an amazing video and it will instantly blow up. But that's usually not how it works. I had to make videos for at least 3 months before one got remotely any traction. So yeah, I think what he's describing is very accurate. I would just add, like, I think this advice is good. It's a good mindset to describe. It feels like maybe overly simplistic to me in the sense of like, if you're only adding a new editing trick every time, or you're only making the script a little bit better. Like, I think I would approach it more holistically, personally. Like, yeah, maybe improving one thing every time that is eventually going to have a snowball effect, but also you can improve a lot of things every time. I think sometimes you can just kind of look at the pacing of one video versus a new one and be like, I think I can do it better. I think I can make it more interesting, cut the fat. It's, you can look at it more holistically versus just kind of like arbitrarily changing one thing every time. So I guess don't take this advice super literally for those listening. That's my take on it. And yeah, like I think it's good advice. Clearly he knows what he's talking about. He's Mr. Beast. He's the YouTube man.
Yeah, and I actually disagree with you because I like the whole idea of it being deliberate advice, like giving you specific examples because that's what, to me, what it's all about is that bad thumbnail that you had, just fix that, then do this. Like there are logistically, I feel like things that you're going to need to fix.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, there's always things that can be improved. And I think if you are consciously trying to do that instead of being obsessed with how good everything you do is, like that's a much better place to be, even if you're doing it sort of robotically. There's value in that. But yeah, I like to look at things holistically and kind of just, how do I feel about this? And I kind of end up changing the whole of everything, which that's my style. Mr. Beast has a different style.
Love it. Okay. And man, how many videos have you created on YouTube? So you have a YouTube channel. It's called Treesicle with about 900,000 subscribers. How many videos have you created on YouTube? I mean, then you have other stuff you've worked on too.
Right. So there's Treesicle, that's the video game channel, and then Bonsai Pop, the anime channel. And then we had like a stream channel where we'd upload VODs that were edited down. So total, I've probably made, including the work I've done with clients too, I've probably made upwards of 1,000 videos. I mean, at least like high hundreds. It's hard to say, but high hundreds for sure.
Yeah, that's a lot. And you mentioned that don't expect to get views right away, like Mr. Beast was talking about. But you did mention too, like 3 months. That's not very long. That it took you guys 3 months to get views. So would you say that was like, how did you do that, first of all? And then second of all, would you say, like, what is your estimate for people's expectations that are watching this? Like, hey, I'm gonna get into this, or I am doing this, like it's taking kind of a little bit longer. What's a good time frame?
Sure. I mean, time frame is so hard. Like it could be anywhere. Your first video might blow up. It legitimately might blow up.
It
Um,
happens.
yeah, or it'll take you 3 years. And so for me, this is how it happened. So I was on a team with three other guys. We all started this YouTube channel in college, but originally it was a Let's Play channel. So that meant we would play video games and then commentate over them while recording. And that was the video, right? It was just us playing video games and having fun. But after 3 months, we had 37 subscribers. Most of those accounts were like our friends or our own accounts. Like nobody cared about these videos. But I had a lot of video editing experience already from high school, and even some writing experience too. And so we kind of all sat down and realized like we needed something new. And I used that knowledge of mine to write the first script of the series called The Story You Never Knew. The script was about Samus from Metroid. And then one of the guys from the team helped me like really refine the script. And then I did the voiceover and started editing it. And then he helped with like half the editing, the same guy who helped me refine the script. Shout out to Kevin. And then, yeah, that video did really well. Well, actually, first we posted it, and it didn't really get traction, but then I posted it to Reddit, like on the Metroid subreddit, and I don't know, a couple other like places, and it got like some traction, and it started like taking off a little bit, and then I believe it was Kevin, again, shout out to Kevin, who researched some YouTube SEO, and we changed the title from The Story You Never Knew, Samus Aran, to Samus Aran, The Story You Never Knew, and then it started like really blowing up. So the SEO helped a lot, just taking that keyword, putting it to the front, combined with this completely new video. So that's kind of what I mean with a holistic approach. It was like the types of videos we were making weren't working. And it wasn't until we threw it all out and created something totally new that's when it started working. So if we had just kept trying to like improve one thing every time, with that same mindset, I think you can be too narrow. And that's, my success story sort of utilized Mr. Beast's advice, but not very literally, I might add. We were always trying to improve, but it kind of ended up manifesting as like a massive, complete game changer versus just 1% better every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense now. The way you explained it, I totally understand it now. All right, so Mr. Beast, 100 videos before you should even ask for any views. Put in the work. Casey Neistat.
The audacity.
Yeah, the audacity, the new school versus the old school. Casey Neistat. His advice is more about don't look at the metrics. It's all about passion, authenticity. Focus on creating content about what you love and let your niche emerge naturally. Avoid getting bogged down by metrics or forcing content. Instead, make what genuinely excites you. Casey Neistat emphasis on storytelling and the freedom to experiment with content. So
beautiful.
It's a totally different kind of perspective. I guess that's definitely more holistic. And it's talking more about kind of creativity. Anything you want to add to that, or anything that in your past experience makes you think this is some great advice or poor advice?
I think it's great advice. I tend to think, like, compared to Mr. Beast, I tend to think more like Casey Neistat. Just watching them in podcasts, wouldn't it be great if we had the same brain? We don't, but like I feel like I have more in common with Casey Neistat than Mr. Beast as far as how my mind works. And I agree with him. I think he's right about that. I think your niche will merge naturally. But it's kind of like, are you creative minded or business minded? And I think if you're more creative minded, I think you will find your niche without really trying. Is it niche or niche? I can never, whatever. I'm going to switch between the two. You just make videos. You will find your niche. and it will be a beautiful thing. I think it will emerge naturally. You know, with Casey Neistat, he got like a ticket for riding outside the bike lane. There was a bunch of obstructions, and then he kind of filmed it, and then it just kind of blew up. Like that was one of his first successful videos, and he really was just kind of living his life, and then decided to make a video about it. Like it did come about very naturally for him. Um, and yeah, for me, it was kind of the same thing, you know, with our first video on Tree School that did well about Samus. It was a very, like, I'm a very philosophical guy. It was a very philosophical video. I also have a kind of silly comedic side. There was a lot of now very dumb jokes in there, but at the time I thought they were very funny. Yeah, it was just like, it was an authentic video that I thought was great. And then other people thought it was great, and it did feel very natural to kind of hone in on that. And yeah, there was some like brainstorming of like, oh, what do we want to talk about, but it was very vague. Like we kind of just wanted to make video game character videos, and then we filled in the rest. So yeah, I think it's good advice if you're creatively minded. I think if you're more business minded, you might kind of have trouble grasping onto it, but that's okay.
Yeah, and you know what, Grant? It's like a really common theme on this podcast is kind of a lot of times we say it's more business minded or creative minded, but maybe it's better to say like more like metric driven versus creative driven, because you know we're always chasing the algorithm stats, baby.
Sure.
And you know you really have swung me over the years on more to the creative side now, because looking forward, like it's so competitive that I think that the creative part is needed. It's going to come back, basically. Maybe not right now. Like it is kind of Mr. Beast driven, metric driven, but I think on the smaller creator side, like you got to get more creative. Like just getting that talking head video shot once a week or whatever, like that's not going to cut it in the future of YouTube. Like you need to keep attention better through creativity. So like the common business man that just wants to sit behind the mic and talk and not do any kind of creative things, like that's not the content that's going to take off and get you the leads or just, drive views, which so anyways, yeah. So did you want to speak on that? I don't want to say anything else.
Well, I'm glad that I've swayed you over the years, and I agree. I feel like YouTube is so crazy right now. Like everybody wants to get in on YouTube. Every kid wants to be a YouTuber. There's more and more videos every day, especially with AI now. That yeah, I think the only way to really stand out, in my opinion, is to live your life as true to yourself as possible, and then that will somehow come through in your videos. Like it's really the only way, I think. Yeah, you can kind of brute force it, and I mean some people, I don't know, they have like a business brain and they just somehow they always figure it out. But in my opinion, yeah, the best way is just be yourself and do things that you legitimately believe in, that are interesting to you. But also don't listen too much to that voice in your head that's like, oh, it's too much work, I don't want to do it. Like it, it is like, it's going to be work. Like, yes, passion is great, but you can't rely on motivation every day. You just can't. So, put in the work, follow your dreams. It'll be great.
Yeah, and that mindset's huge. Like you've got to be excited to get in front of the camera and excited. It's really the final product that should really motivate you to get that final product and get it posted when it's live and get that dopamine hit. And then just enjoy, the community that comes with it and the authority that comes with it and just the creative outlet that comes with it. And then you give yourself a chance to succeed, because if it's work, or it is going to be hard, it's going to be work. But if you got to find the motivation for it. You got to be excited for it, is what I'm trying to say. Definitely got to be excited for the creation process. That's the mindset. Now, we've kind of already spilled the beans, but I will say that me personally, like I like the Mr. Beast advice. That's like a piece of advice that I pass along to our clients and stuff all the time. Because I think it's just a good way to look at the whole process, because that is a way to get from filming on your iPhone in a dungy background to using a mirrorless camera and having a great, 4K footage with a nice lighting setup and just
Hmm.
the understanding of a hook and scripting and just improving the logistical things. Boy, that's the way that I resonate with most, and even looking at the metrics. But like I said, you swayed me the other way. What is your final answer? I think Mr. Beast's advice is better personally. I give it 5 out of 5 stars because I give that
Mm,
advice.
mm.
That's
I'm
why I had
I'm
to
gonna go.
disagree with you. Go, and what's your take?
I'm going with Casey. I'm going with Casey Neistat. I think, yeah, it feels more holistic to me. It applies to the way my brain works better. Like the idea of just improving one thing kind of robotically every time, it just makes no sense to me. Like logically it makes sense, but when I look at my actions across time and like I'm like projecting myself into the future and imagining me taking this advice, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. And again, with the kind of tree school success story, it was, I think that applies more to Casey Neistat's advice than to Mr. Beast's advice. I'd say Mr. Beast's advice was helpful, I think, maybe for getting us off the ground and like just making videos, like even just those 3 months of making videos that no one cared about, when he said make 100 videos and then talk to me when you've made your 100 first. That's basically what we did, really. And so in that sense it worked, but I think following what was interesting to us ended up really being the catalyst for success more so than incremental improvement. So I'm going with Casey Neistat. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10.
Nice. Okay. 10 out of 10. You might have got me there. I don't know if the math works like that. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. I think it's a tie there, but
Yeah.
no, but it was a great talk about that today because, if, as a listener here, you're hopefully this sparks your imagination a little bit, gets you think about your content creation, either side in a little bit more of a way, so that the next video that you create gets that viral spark and gets recommended everywhere and is your best 1 of 10 videos that you've ever had.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, you get the little sparkly animation on the 1 of 10 in the YouTube backend. Oh man, so satisfying.
Talk about getting excited to create some videos, man. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling inspired. I'll have to hit the record button right after this
Mm-hmm.
and hit my bullet points for my next video. So, all right. All in all, it's great to get advice from YouTube legends. And so that was a fun episode today. If you guys are watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. If you are listening on any kind of Apple podcast or iTunes or Spotify, you can follow us there as well. And with that said, we will see you guys in the next episode.